So we're gonna do something a little different today. I have a bunch of footage from all these rides I've been doing the last few weeks that didn't make a coherent story. I've just used them for little Instagram clips or reels and all that kind of stuff. But so I'm gonna play some of that footage, and then we're gonna do a little kind of a Q&A. Some of the stuff people ask often about me and about bikes. I'm just gonna do a little voiceover talking about those things while we watch some footage of the rides I've done lately. Before we get to it, we are having an unprecedented record-breaking heat wave here. I needed to run some guitar pedals to Earthquaker devices, so I grabbed the e-bike, the 10-ways, and it's so nice because I am not a sweaty mess yet. So again, I'm not riding the e-bike today. Instead of riding my regular bike, I'm riding the e-bike instead of driving. So that's really one of the cool purposes of them to me. Anyways, this is not an e-bike video. All the other footage will be on manual, regular human-powered bicycles. Ooh, past some people doing the Ohio to Erie Trail. This would be a tough week for it in this heat. Good luck to everybody who's out there doing that. All right, now let's get to the aforementioned Q&A.
So I actually recorded this video early in the summer. So if you're wondering why there isn't continuity between the bike builds, facial hair, or even the weather, that's why. Also, I had let my dad borrow the 10-ways e-bike right before we started going on our trips, and he's had it ever since, so I haven't had it all summer, but he's really been enjoying it. So he does it kind of like I do, where he goes out, he might hit a bike path. He said he doesn't even turn on the assist, but then if he wants to do something more interesting up the hills, he'll use it to help him. He's had some heart work and stuff like that, so he's not supposed to overexert himself. So we'll do a whole video with him down the road, but just again proving why e-bikes are such a good thing and you haters are so off base and ridiculous. But let's get into it. I think I'm going to kind of just go through my own history a little bit. This stuff has been in other places around the channel in little bits and pieces, but I thought it'd be cool to have it all in one spot. And, you know, there's a bunch of new people on the channel now anyways. So my dad taught me how to ride a bike on a bike with a banana seat, and then I probably had a series of hand-me-downs. I lived in a subdivision, so there were other kids, there were bikes, I have an older brother, and then eventually my parents bought me a red Huffy BMX thing with a foot brake, and I loved that. Rode it all around the neighborhood and out of the neighborhood. You know, it was just like any 80s movie you've ever seen. That's what we did. We rode our bikes around. I eventually graduated to my brother's Huffy, I'm using air quotes, mountain bike. My parents hung on to that forever, and just a couple years ago I took it and then ended up donating it. But man, I never liked that bike, and I didn't know why, but seeing it now that I know bikes and the componentry and how it was built and how heavy it was, I understand why I wasn't a big fan. They ended up getting me a Trek Hybrid. It was in the 700 or 800 series. I can't remember exactly, but I rode that bike a lot. I took it with me when I went to college for 1 year at Kent State University. And when my dad picked me up to leave my first year of college and I went down to the lobby to grab it, the lock was there, but the bike was not. So that bike got stolen, and it's a real bummer. Actually, knock on wood, the only bike I've ever had stolen so far. So I moved back home after college and worked at a car wash. I saved all of my tips from working at the car wash and ended up buying myself a Trek 4900 mountain bike, front suspension, real mid-low range, but I still have it. It still rides fine, totally built into different configurations. If you've seen my winter videos, it's my studded tire bike, but that just became my bicycle, and it was just, I didn't think anything of it. That was my bike. I rode a bike sometimes. I actually realized that I could ride to the car wash faster than I could drive my car, so I bike commuted every day. I didn't even think about myself as a bike commuter. You know, I thought those were your eccentric old guy in the high vis or your college professor looking type. You know, again, I just never even like associated myself as a cyclist. I was just like someone who owned a bike. That's just the way I thought. And I think that a lot of that comes from too, my dad never wore any kit or anything when we would ride bikes. He was just like, you know, wore any clothes that he'd wear when he was doing anything active, you know, t-shirts, shorts. So I guess, yeah, to me, that's just how it always had been. I didn't own anything. I didn't know a lot about cycling. I didn't know a lot about bike componentry or anything like that. So fast forward a bit, and I got a job at a sweet corn farm in the Cuyahoga Valley. So that pretty much took up all my time as I got into that in the spring, summer, and fall. So I'd hope for some good weather in the spring or in the fall, and I'd ride my bike a little bit, you know, towpaths, stuff we had always done. My whole life we had kind of poached hiking trails for mountain biking because there didn't used to be anything around or anything around that we knew about. but eventually my bike just ended up kind of sitting in the basement. I ended up stopping working at the farm, and I broke up with my girlfriend at the time, and that's when I moved here to the studio. I guess that's around 2015. So I took my bike to the bike shop down the street. It was dusty, the tires were flat. I didn't know much about bikes besides just riding them. So took it in there, had them give it like a full once over. You know, they said to me, these old Treks tune up really, really well. And I just started riding a lot again. And then my friend Wes and my friend Woody, who also has roach clips, started hitting me up, and we started riding. Then we started riding once a week. And then I met Ben, and then that thing kind of grew, and I still do that group ride weekly with those friends. And it was through those rides and meeting more and more people that I started to learn about bikes, as we had bike conversations while we were riding and when we'd stop for a drink and all that stuff. So that's when I learned what a top tube and a down tube and your different components and different kinds of bikes were. Like I said, I never thought about bikes. They were just bikes to me. But I think that's kind of why I've always had an open-minded attitude about bikes, because I didn't come from a particular bike scene. You know, I wasn't a BMXer. I wasn't a fixie or track bike rider or a road rider. And then this group of people was a pretty mixed too. You know, there was someone riding a fixie, there was someone riding a single speed. One guy would bring out his fat bike once in a while. Another guy rode in full kit on a full-on race bike, and no one ever said anything about it. So I just didn't have the mentality of any kind of scene, or that like groups of cyclists even kind of stuck together and were cliquey about things. And again, even though I'm glad I have this attitude, none of this is to say that my path is better than anyone else's. It just is. I actually wish I had a lot of those BMX skills that my friends and people I know grew up with, because they're very, very useful. And when you learn wheelies and bunny hops early, I think you're always going to be better at them. So after riding with this group for a while, we were basically doing a lot of bike paths and roads for the most part. So I was over at my dad's, and I asked if I could have his old French bike. It had been hanging in every garage we had ever lived in, and now it was in his barn. He had other bikes since then, and he said sure. So I took it home, and I tried to fix it up a little bit, took the wheels apart and the hubs apart and re-greased them, and just was doing internet research. And then when I went out and rode that with the group, I was like, oh wow, this is so much easier to go faster on. And it wasn't even a high-end bike or anything. It was actually fairly low-end. It is a French-made Motorbacon, but just not one of their fancier ones. And so then I started getting into picking up more and more vintage road bikes and fixing them up and seeing what I could do with them, till I finally got into doing a neo-retro build where I had, you know, Shimano 9-speed on a 1982 Trek 500. And then even started doing a little bit of touring with those kind of bikes, mostly credit card touring with Aaron. So got a bike, then I started to figure I wanted to get wider and wider tires on the bike, so figured out how to do the 27-inch to 700C conversion so I could squeeze some wider tires in there. And then I got introduced to Otis, who ended up opening up Dirty River Bicycle Works, and he was all deep into gravel cycling, ATV cycling, you know, Red Bicycle Quarterly, you know, Jan Hein, all the stuff. And that's when I started to learn a little bit more about that and wanting something more capable to go everywhere, as we started to do the industrial gravel routes and more mixing our road riding in with off-road stuff. So as far as this YouTube channel goes, I started actually posting to this YouTube channel as a way to teach myself how to do video. When I got my Canon EOS 7D, that was the first camera I had that could do video, and so I figured I should start to figure out how to do a little bit of this kind of thing. So I started doing a beer review series with my girlfriend at the time, and that was really just the plan to make myself do something and learn how to make videos. I didn't do a ton, I just posted stuff here and there. We posted those here and there. Didn't know a lot about YouTube, but over the years, I tried to do some other things. I was going to do like a photography show. When I would sit down in the beginning in front of the camera, I couldn't even say anything. So there's some people who are like, oh, you're good at this. And this is entirely a learned skill. If you want to do anything like this, you just have to practice, because I could not do it at first. So at the beginning of 2020, I decided I was going to have a goal to put out a video every single week on the YouTube channel. I was still doing photography stuff on the channel. I was still doing a mix of bike and analog, and I just I didn't care what the video was going to be about. I just wanted to make something. And the main goal there was to get better at editing in my editing software, Premiere Pro. I was really good at Photoshop by this point. Over, the years I was talking about, I'd become a professional photographer. But when I went to edit in videos, I didn't know keyboard shortcuts. I didn't know all the things that make things go faster, which when you're a freelancer, time is money. And so being better at the software is a big deal. And that was really it. And we all know then what happened in 2020. So I ended up definitely having the time to, edit and make videos. And so between the film photography stuff and the bike stuff, it was just the bike stuff kept getting more and more of a response till I was trying to find a way to work my photography stuff in the videos till I'm like, okay, we can mostly let this go and make cycling videos because people are actually watching them. And, when I say people are watching them, at the time it seemed like a ton. It was, get 200 or 300 views on a video. I was like, this is amazing. And I also hit 1,000 subscribers and the channel got monetized and all that. And then I was watching a channel that Ben had pointed out to me, Terry Berenson, and he started doing live streams during the pandemic. And I'm like, maybe this is a skill I'm going to need if this lasts a long time. So I started teaching myself how to do live streams. And through that, I met Pudgy Pedal Pusher and other people. But talking about bikes, doing the live streams is where I've learned so much more about bikes because people are like, have you ever seen this? And then we pull it up. And that's how I found out about Ultra Romance, Ronnie, and going to Nutmeg and all that. So I am not someone who knew like the whole scene or all these other bike things or all these other bike brands really until I started doing the live streams. Like I said, I had learned a lot from riding with other people, but then having the big online community really expanded my knowledge of bikes to the total nerd I am about them today. So this channel is about to cross 20,000 subscribers, which is beyond what I ever imagined. Like I said, I never even was doing it as a way to grow a YouTube channel for a long time. It was just something for me to practice on. So that's always kind of mind-blowing to me, but I love the community we've created. My plans just are the same going forward to hopefully make videos that inspire people to ride bikes. And then once in a while, if I have some information that I think is worth sharing, doing. But I'm not trying to play to the algorithm or grow in any way that isn't just who I am. So I don't mind that it keeps going slowly. That's just what I want to do. I want to make videos I want to make. This is not what I do full time. I still am a full-time photographer and videographer. I'm recording this right before I run off to a gig this Saturday afternoon. The thing I do love, though, is it does bring in some money to keep the channel going so I can buy new GoPros and new audio equipment and all that kind of thing. So as I do talk about this channel and this community and how much I enjoy it, we do have a Discord channel if you've never checked that out, and that's where we kind of share bike information, but also the idea of being able to ride together from time to time. If you're watching this video near when it came out, we're talking about doing a ride in Pittsburgh in mid-September. So if you're in that area and you wanted to try and meet up, check us out in the meetup section of the Discord. And I intentionally put that information just in videos and the Discord and late in the video, so it's for people who really do follow the channel and are trying to all get together and not just, a random gathering of other people, if that makes any sense. I don't know, whatever. So that's just kind of my story. I'd be interested to hear you guys and how you got into cycling, and let me know down below. Was it something like me where you rode bikes and then it escalated? Or did you come from a family where your dad wore a kit, your mom wore a kit, or your dad was a BMXer? I don't know. Let me know. I'd be interested to hear how other people find their way to becoming this bike obsessive. And if all of this was really boring or all stuff you've heard before or you already know, at least we had some cool visuals and have some cool visuals going on to go with it. I don't know. You always could have turned off the audio and just listened to some music. You could always do that on most of my videos anyways. This bridge right here is actually a new trail in Akron, the Rubber City Heritage Trail. We have been riding different pieces of it as single track for a long time. Here you can see one that eventually might become part of it. They've only finished phase 1, but that bridge and that little it's almost like New York's High Line in a way is really cool. And so that's the first phase. So pretty exciting to see more bike infrastructure coming about since I started doing this a lot. Akron has a long way to go. People comment they can't believe how poor the infrastructure in our city looks. I think that's true in a lot of ways. What we are really lucky with is bike paths. There's 3 within short ride of my house. So it's a give and take. We're lucky with the paths. Hopefully the infrastructure and the attitudes continue to change a little more around here. So continue to travel, plan cool trips, imagine awesome places you could ride, but also explore your city. You know, go down that road that you wonder where it went. You know, try new different roads you've never ridden on before, ride with new people, show up at a mountain bike trail, show up at a public meeting about bike lanes. We need people there with a positive attitude to counteract the people who are always like, works fine the way it is. How am I going to get on the freeway with a bike lane here? It needs some of us to show up there and be calm and logical and advocate for cycling in our cities. The best way to advocate for cycling in the city, though, is to be out on your bike and be seen. So it's not that no one rides there type thing. That's going to be it for me in this video, though. Thanks again, everyone, for all the support and love that this channel gets. It makes it so fun. It's been such a cool journey. I will see you in the next one. We'll let this ride footage take us out. Peace. Dude, and I'm like, hey, if it's not made, don't start